Angie, have you started it? YouTube? It's 6 o'clock, and I'll call this meeting of the Mount Vernon City Council to order. We do have a quorum present. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Packed house. It's an exciting time tonight. We'll have a new mayor. Greg will welcome you to your service, and also Marty and Sally. Here she is on the front row coming in. Appreciate you guys raising your hand to continue to serve our town. So we'll look forward to that. With that, Craig's going to lead us in our invocation. So please bow with me.
Please bow. Father God, we just thank you for your grace and your mercy and your kindness towards us. And Father, we thank you that you are a God of orderly leadership, and we thank you for the opportunity to come tonight and see this leadership exemplify itself through the transition of power within our community. Most of all, God, we pray for one thing about this community. We pray that we can all come together and that we can all continue to serve the people of Mount Vernon, because that's what it's all about. I pray for blessings on our outgoing mayor and his family. I pray that you would be with him. I pray for blessings upon our incoming mayor and his family. I pray that you give him wisdom and insight. And I pray, God, that you would give us all courage and the wisdom that we need to make the right decisions for this community in the future. I just pray, I ask these things now in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join for our pledge. All right, if the council's had the opportunity to review the consent agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion from Marty, second from Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, on the report on items of community interest, does anybody have anything they'd like to share at the moment? Okay. We do have two signed up for citizen participation. I want to read this real quick. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for citizen forum. So with that, Courtney, did you want to go first, or Ashley? Does it matter? All right, come on down.
Courtney, is this about the action item, or is this something else?
It's regarding the action item.
Well, you're on the agenda for that later on.
Okay.
Okay.
So come back then?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have you come back, because that's a special time.
Is that also for Ashley, or did you like to come now at the same time? Okay, okay. Okay, with that, I know Councilman Huddleston has a share he'd like to.
I'm going to try to stay composed as I read this, but Mark Huddleston. I remember my boss coming to me about 30 years ago, and I'm going to read this because if I have to say it, I'm not going to hold myself together. But I remember my boss coming to me about 30 years ago and asked me if I wanted to move to Mount Vernon, to which I replied, "Where's that?" He proceeded to describe Mount Vernon as a modern-day Mayberry. On our first trip here, Amy and I immediately knew that this is where we wanted to live. A community that felt like family. So in 1997, we made the decision to move to Mount Vernon and start a family here. Over the years, we've made so many close friends and raised our kids together, enjoying everything from evenings on the squares, Friday night lights, and I would not have changed not one thing. These past few months, I've seen this town we chose in a completely different light. I've seen it at its worst. In the complete contrast, I've seen it at its very finest. During this last election cycle, I don't know if I've ever witnessed our town so divided. There was bickering over things that caused stress, hurt feelings, and distance between people. People who don't even know me called me corrupt. And on social media, disagreements quickly grew into much larger problems because people stopped listening and focused only on winning arguments. Then in complete contrast to that, as my family suffered a tragedy about 8 weeks ago, this community reached out to us in ways I simply don't have words for, and many continue doing so to this day. I had no idea that in today's world, the community could still support others like family that weren't. Amy and I are truly blessed and deeply grateful. A true family community is built on respect, teamwork, patience, and care. In a strong family community, people may still disagree, but they work together to solve problems instead of fighting against one another. They communicate calmly, support one another, and remember that relationships are more important than being right. As adults, when we choose understanding over bickering, our community becomes a place of comfort and trust, and our children learn kindness. Adults feel supported, and everyone grows stronger together. Every community faces challenges, but the way we respond to these challenges matters. If we replace arguing with listening, forgiveness, and cooperation, we can continue building the stronger community we all want, our modern-day Mayberry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, if y'all will bear with me, I've got a little something I want to read myself too, and then we'll get on to having some fun and swearing these folks in. First thing is, and I'm going to read this too because I'll not be able to do it if I don't spell. So I just want to share that it has been an honor for me to serve our community as mayor for the past 6 years. I'm grateful for the trust that was placed in me. I've never taken it lightly. And maybe I'm a little OCD and I take it too seriously. But through every challenge and every accomplishment and every decision made for the future of our city, I've always tried to serve with integrity and dedication and a genuine love for this town and its people. I want to sincerely thank our city council members for their countless hours of work, their sacrifice, and the commitment to the citizens of Mount Vernon. Public service is often demanding and sometimes thankless, but I've had the privilege of serving alongside individuals who care deeply about this community and who continually to work to move our city forward. These guys are awesome. I think every council person here has been here for nearly 5 years. So, or three if you served in an unexpired term. But I'm very grateful. Our city staff, our first responders, business owners, volunteers, pastors, educators, and our citizens, I thank you all for the role each of you play in making Mount Vernon such a special place. The strength of a small town has never been found in buildings or budgets alone, but it's in the character and the kindness and the resiliency of its people. I'm going to take a few minutes. I want to share some accomplishments and some challenges and some special thanks for a few folks that have gone above and beyond for our city. First of all, I want to recognize our fire department and the awesome achievements that they've made. We've always been eternally grateful for all the volunteers that we have countywide, and we have to have them, and we will have to have them ongoing. So please pat those folks on the back and encourage volunteerism with our youth that are coming up. We need it. In our 2025 budget year, the council made a financial decision to budget resources for part-time licensed firemen. A lot of folks didn't realize we were doing that. It was Monday through Friday, 6 in the morning till 6 at night. We had guys that worked shifts somewhere else. You know, their days off, they were working a paid shift here. Wasn't Brad's idea. That was a great idea that actually came down from, you know, some towns around us, like Cooper had done that. So we're kind of following successes from our communities around us. It was a great step forward. And in this 2026 budget year, we actually took the step forward and have 2 full-time firemen on duty around the clock every day of the week. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for an interlocal agreement with Judge Lee and the Commissioner's Court. Judge Lee, are you? There you go. I see the hand waving. I want to give that thanks for the county coming in there. The Mount Vernon Fire Department has always served countywide. So we go on, if a call's coming in, we're going anywhere in the county, and it was just getting very, very hard financially to do that. So the Commissioner's Court and Judge Lee came into an interlocal agreement with us, and that's really what's helped us take the next step forward. And again, volunteers are there every step of the way. Our response time now is down to about a minute. So like we can have a truck on the road in a minute where it used to be 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. The other thing we've got coming is we've got a new fire truck coming. Our fire trucks are beyond outdated. Guys here tonight would shaking their heads on that. They were outdated when I came in, and there was no line item savings to put towards a new truck. That's something the council took the opportunity to say we're going to start putting money away every year to start, getting some funds together, because it's $1 million for a fire truck. So luckily the guys were able to get a $300,000 grant, and again the county came in with $700,000 to help with that truck. So the city will have a new fire truck arriving here in a few weeks. Blake Sheffield isn't here, I don't think, but Blake Sheffield is one of those guys that he's our chief. He's got an uncanny knack for bringing people together, and I think that's we wouldn't be where we're at right now with the fire department if it hadn't been for Blake finding a way to get the resources and to get everybody working together and to find a path forward. So I'm excited to see us have a full-time fire department, and it will progress from here. Our police department, we've been blessed to have strong leadership under Sheriff Jones at the city, and then also with Leah, with our team at the city. So I mean, you guys have done an awesome job for us. The crime rate in Mount Vernon isn't low by accident. That's by just wonderful efforts by our police department. I want to thank the council for having increased the budget for our police department over the last 6 years. We've nearly doubled the number of officers. We've also greatly improved the resources. We had guys using their own guns. It's like they've got the right equipment. They're safe. We want them to make sure their safety is number one for us, right? But they also need to be able to do their job effectively, and that's by having the right resources. Leah is a queen at getting grant money, and I don't know how many times I tell you that. It's amazing how many times she's came forward with grant ideas she's asked the council to support, and she gets every one of them. So thanks for what you've done there with getting grant resources too, Leah. That's a special thanks. Let's talk animal shelter. When I first came in as mayor, I had been down to the shelter right before I got elected. I was shocked. It was on the back side of the wastewater treatment plant. It was horrendous. It was not just embarrassing, it was sad to think that any pet would be in there. And I made that something I wanted to try to help us find a way to get to another, an improvement, a new location. I didn't make it happen. I'm going to tell you, I helped. We all helped, but thankfully, with the help of PAWS and all the donations they rounded up and the volunteers that worked for them, and then also I'll go back to the Commissioner's Court with Judge Lee. They came in an interlocal agreement with us, so a third of the cost to operate it is paid for by the city, a third by the county, and a third is from donations and volunteerism. So I bring this up because we're going to need to continue to support PAWS with volunteers, and we're going to need donations. It's the shelter's looking great and it's progressing greatly, but it is going to need help as it goes along. Cassidy Wesson is the new shelter manager, and are they here? Is Cassidy here?
Cassie's somewhere here.
In the back.
She's in the back.
There she is. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Thanks for all you've done, Cassidy. She has a passion for animals and actually has a vet tech background, so it was a perfect fit. On our park side, Little Creek Park's going to benefit from initially a $750,000 investment in the park. $350,000 of that is from a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant that we received. That grant requires matching funds with it. EDC is actually going to be putting up $350,000 of those funds, and then the city from the general fund will have another $100,000. Texas Parks and Wildlife actually asked us to apply for a second round of funding, so they're liking what we're doing. We're hoping there might even be some additional money, but Little Creek Park obviously is badly in need of some work, especially to the children's equipment in the creek that's badly eroded. We did recently purchase some land, and the building that adjoins the splash pad area where you'll have new bathrooms. And MHS Planning and Design is completing their design work, and we'll have groundbreaking later this year on the work on the park. On the housing standpoint, it's a tricky one because it's hard to get developers to come in here, especially if you don't have the infrastructure in place or the actual development laid out. So the city, along with the EDC and the Industrial Foundation, Lynn Lowry is here today. He's our chairman of the Industrial Foundation. That was a partnership to identify the land behind Well, it joins up to the school sports complex and goes all the way to the I-30 access road. We're calling it the North Corridor. So with that, the Industrial Foundation bought 60 acres, and the night the bond passed with the school, I'll take a little credit here. I called our school board and Industrial Foundation leader back then at the time and said, hey, that bond's going to be, the sports complex is going to be pretty cramped up against the boulevard. If they had 15, 20 acres, would that help y'all be able to move that further out and have parking and just make it a lot more better setup? And the school wanted that. Industrial Foundation was game to make it happen. We had that deal done in 24 hours, 48 hours, and the land bought in weeks after that. And we're able to help the school out too and bring their project along. I've had fun working on those kind of things. That development, we're setting up a PID for that. That basically will be a taxing entity just for that development. So in other words, folks like us in the room that have houses in town or businesses, there's no taxing event that's going to hit your property to help support that. It's all generated from the development itself. On our water system, well, I'll get into infrastructure a little bit, and that it was just shortly after taking office that through meetings with our engineers and getting an analysis of where our infrastructure was at, we learned that, like, for example, the water tower by the Sheriff's Department was nearly 18 years behind on its maintenance. Not a few years, 18 years. And was quickly heading towards the path of being decommissioned and having to build a new tower, which is over $2 million. This council quickly made the decision to budget $450,000 to get on that project. That was a big deal. And why that can't have been kicked down the road that long, I do not know. We had plenty of money in the general fund to do some of these projects, but we've set on money like like we're a bank, and we're not a bank. Talk about more of that in a minute. The pump house on that tower, there's a pump house on the ground. The whole roof had been caved in probably for 3 or 4 years. So that's been done. At the same time after that, we decided to redo the logo on the tower downtown and got estimates for putting LED lights on it. No, it did not cost $200,000 to put LED lights on the water tower. It cost $18,500, and it was paid for by the Mount Vernon EDC. Thanks, Mount Vernon EDC. Nothing out of the city fund, $18,500, and I'll be honest with you, I knocked on so many doors during election time, and folks told me how beautiful the tower looked. I think it looks great. I hope we can find a way to do the next tower as soon as you can. It's good advertising. I want to share a little bit around the substantial $9.6 million grant that we recently were awarded. Again, I hadn't been in but for one meeting, and it was just eye-opening, the issues that the city was dealing with. The public works team was digging up holes in the street, seemed like every day. Water lines busted, and I'm telling the guys, I said, could y'all just give me a text? I want to kind of see what you're dealing with. And I know the guys at the time probably thought, oh man, this guy's going to be a pain in the neck. But the reality was, I just wanted to understand what they were dealing with. And seeing guys when it's 20 degrees outside and they're standing in sewage water, and there's no plan to replace the infrastructure, it's not good. And so I said, hey, just text me each time y'all have something. Don't think you're wearing me out. Just text me. So every day they're texting me, and I'm going and showing up. Well, I remember over on Nyla Drive, and I've still got the piece of pipe cut out. They're putting the 8th stainless steel $150 clamp on a 1-inch pipe that had been in the ground for 50 years, probably corroded through. Well, those pipes have lead valves, lead unions. They're considered lead pipe, and it's going to those houses. I'm like, this is gross. Why do we not have a plan to replace this? And I'd asked, how many feet of this do we have? Nobody knew. So with council's help here, I said, guys, we've got to get a plan. We need to know exactly how many feet of old cast iron and steel lines, lead lines are on the ground. We've got over 100-year-old sewer lines that are falling apart. No plan to replace them. I said, we've got to get a plan. We need to know how many feet there were. Nobody could tell me how many feet there were. Well, there might be 500. There might be 1,000 feet. We're not exactly sure. 8 miles of the sewer lines and 1.8 miles of the old steel cast iron water lines. So we know how many feet there are. We know exactly where they're at. They're all GPS mapped. And that's why the letter we got in November, October, said the reason you're getting this grant, and it's loan forgiveness, by the way. They don't mail you a bunch of money. So again, the internet's saying, where'd the money go? The money don't come to you until you do the work, and then they forgive the loan. So that $9.6 million will come after we do that work, after we get the lead water lines and stainless steel, the steel and corroded lines out of the ground so our kids aren't drinking through the damn things anymore. And after the pipeline from the lake gets replaced, well, guess what? Let me tell you about that. That thing cracks and ruptures 1, 2, 3 times a year. Sometimes we luck out and don't have a break in a year. Breaks all the time. It's asbestos concrete, and there's been no plan to replace it. It's well past its lifespan. And again, every drop of water that we drink in this town is coming through the thing. So we have a plan. We have a loan, and we have loan forgiveness. So this grant will pay for that pipeline to go away. It'll double the size of that pipeline. It'll eliminate the old corroded metal lines that we got kids drinking through in town right now that I'm sick to say it's still there, but we have a grant to fix it. And I'm tickled to death that this council had the guts and the hard work and the desire to find a way to make it happen. So I want to thank the council for having made this happen, and I know the work will get done. I know the council will see to it gets done. I know Greg will be excited to see it get done. Just keep moving forward on these things. It's serious. I remember being told, you can't bring these things up or it's going to hurt property values. I said, that's why we're not fixing anything. Everybody wants to put your head in the sand and ignore it. You can't ignore it. You got to have a plan and you got to fix it. I want to share a little financial update for the city. First, I'd like to talk about just major spending initiatives the council budgeted for last year in the 2025 fiscal year. So a lot of us that were here remember the 5 days when the power went out. Craig can attest to it. I didn't sleep. I mean, 5 days of trying to figure out how to keep our water system running. It was a shock when I went out to the lake. There's no generator out there at all. No way to keep water pumping. I don't know why we wouldn't have had a generator, but we didn't. The pumps are the original pumps that were put in 50 years ago. 1 or 2 of them weren't working, one limping, one half ran. And the electrical system literally had barbed wire wrapped around the cowling of the units coming out of the water. We've got those pictures. So y'all, Craig, you ought to look at those sometime just to kind of get an update. But it was bad, and there was no generator, and our water towers are going empty. And we're trying to get a generator. And we get a generator from Missouri, and I meet them there at 3 in the morning with my skid steer from my farm to unload the thing. And it doesn't work. And the next one didn't work. And thank God, the city manager at Sulphur Springs loaned us theirs. We're not talking about little generators. These things are massive. Sulphur Springs helped us out. Thank you, City of Sulphur Springs, on that. Well, the other problem was wastewater treatment plant. That generator probably hadn't ran in 10 years. Wasn't being cranked. Staff wasn't doing maintenance on it. There had been maintenance on a lot of stuff. Well, so the city council decided for the 2025 budget year passed that we were not going to put this town at risk of running out of water again or running out of your sewer system not working. We're going to get these things fixed, and it was going to cost probably $1.2 million, $1.3 million when you spend some money. Well, we were sitting on over 2 years worth of money in the general fund. Why? That was my question. That was our CPA Mary's question over and over. Why are we sitting on all this money? Sitting on CDs that people put us into years ago, making 0.5%. Again, we're not a bank. The state requires 90 days of funds on hand. We were targeting 6 months. 180 days is what we like to keep, and we had nearly 2 years. So it's like, okay, the council says we're going to fix some of this stuff and not try to go borrow money and put money on your property taxes. So that's why we spent a lot of money in 2025. The money didn't disappear. The money went into brand new pumps in Lake Cypress Springs, a brand new electrical setup, brand new generator at wastewater treatment plant, several upgrades to it to keep us moving forward. And it's put to good work. I appreciate the council taking that move, that initiative, all while we're trying to get loans that we can afford to do the rest of the projects and hopefully get more loan forgiveness. This grant's huge. We need more than we've got to continue to get all the wastewater side corrected as well. I'm going to continue on, and I'll wrap up here pretty quick, and we'll get on to having some fun and get you guys going to work. But this is my last chance to speak, so I want to take a little time here. Financial status review. There is misinformation being shared about the city's finances, period. And new council, you guys will get going, and it'll be all those rumors will die and go away because they're just not true. For our fiscal years go August 1 to end of September, so it's not calendar. Last fall, I got a call from Alliance Bank on a Friday afternoon. Said, Brad, did you realize that the IRS was going to levy money from the city's accounts? I said, what are you talking about? They had just levied $82,000 out of our bank account at the bank. I said, well, first I want to go outside and throw up because it's about 4:30 on a Friday. And I'm like, what great news to get on a Friday afternoon when you can't even find out what's going on. I asked Mary, I said, Mary, would you please help on Monday morning? Let's see if we can find out what's going on. It wasn't lunchtime, and Mary called back and said, we didn't owe the IRS any money. They actually may owe us as much as about $125,000 or $35,000. We had 941 filings for our employees that had errors throughout going back a few years, and some had been filed twice. Well, if you file a 941 with a form and you say you owe money, they expect you owe money. So if you file it twice for the same month and you only pay the one filing, you're overdue. That's what they collected. So we just got a check for how much, Mary? We just got a refund check from the IRS for over $88,000. So that money came back, and on top of that, we're continuing to look further to find out that it turns out there's likely more that's been filed erroneously. We didn't know the money. It's just sloppiness. So through the process, I came to council and I said, guys, I talked to Craig. I said, I really want to see us bring in a municipal finance consultant. Just come in and look at how we're managing our ledger, how we're managing our 941s, look at our utility billing, just make sure that our processes are right. It's things we've been doing apparently for years and years and years. So it's like a time for a reset. Let's get somebody in here that actually can get us organized. Let's break the finance manager role off onto its own. It was all shared with one role before. So now we have a city secretary role and we have a finance manager role. With that, all that work we were doing in 2025, when you're writing checks for these big project items, you should be coding it to the utility fund. It's expenses that should be being paid out of your utility fund. Well, those checks are being written out of the general fund. So the general fund's going way low on cash, and we're going, why are we low on cash in the general fund when we had ample? Well, it's just a line item shift. So the money that should have been written out of the utility fund, about $800,000, was transferred over to the general ledger like it needs to be, the general fund. It's actually that's not a big deal at all, but good business practice would be you would have been writing those checks and ledgering them into your utility fund. You wouldn't be keeping it all in one bucket and then figuring out later on. So the city, we've instructed Craig and the team, each of those accounts you need to have a fire department account, a police department account, a utility fund account for utility building expenses. You get your general fund. Like, these things need to be broken out into their own accounts where it's easier for whoever's managing it to keep up with. We recently hired a full-time finance manager in Andrew Padell. I don't think Andrew's here tonight. Man, guy's doing a fantastic job. He's got municipal finance background. He's Mount Vernon kind of person, just a wonderful can-do guy. So I'm tickled to have him in City Hall. And then we recently promoted Angie Pike to city secretary. Angie is as qualified a city secretary as I could ever imagine this town having. So Angie, thank you for what you're doing for us too. And I want to give special thanks again just to Mary Keys for stepping up and giving us a ton of hours of your personal time. And Mary, you did. It's not a little bit of time she put in, it is a bunch of time she put in. So I'm just very thankful. The council's thankful for that. And the city's in great financial health. I'm just going to tell you that. Y'all will realize that as you get into the budget season. That starts now. And we had a great audit. They have ratings for your audit. It's the highest level of confidence. I wish Mike was here tonight. He'd probably chime in. But that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to touch on that as well. I'm going to stop now. It's time to pass the torch, and I do so with hope and confidence for the future. It should be a fun time tonight. New folks coming in to serve, and I hope that they, Greg, hope you come in with a spirit and the culture that, supporting the culture of this town like you already are. So I appreciate that. I encourage everyone to continue supporting one another, stay involved, work together for the good of our community. And I'll just say, while my time in office comes to the end, I love Mount Vernon, and I always will. And It's been an incredible privilege to serve. May God bless each of you and continue to bless Mount Vernon. So with that, let's get on to canvass and the vote.
Good job, Brad.
But seriously, let's get on and have some fun with this. So it's time to canvass the vote. I'll just jump right into that, Angie, right? And I don't even remember how to do that. So you just need a motion to approve it. So we're looking for a motion to approve the results of the May 2nd, 2026 general election.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion from Mark, second from Marty. How about that?
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So with that, we'll swear in, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do Marty and Sally, and then I think Judge Lee's gonna swear in Greg, right? All right. Hey, Judge, can I borrow your Bible? Certainly. That's safe for making a trip, 'cause I know you've got one that's got some history tied to it.
I do, and I was gonna give a speech about this. If y'all wanna use that first, then I will tell about it.
Okay, okay.
It's an old Bible, be careful.
Jesus.
It's not that old.
All right, I'll put your hand on there. Share. So can I do them together? Absolutely. All right, all right. I
Martin Carrascosa,
do solemnly swear that I will never execute the duties of office of
City Council Member,
of the City of Mount Vernon, and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend, repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of office
execute the duties of office
of City Council
of City Council
all right, of the City of Mount Vernon,
of City of Mount Vernon,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, go to work.
Before I call you, I'm gonna kinda give you a little, every 2 years, we swear people in at the council. I'm the one who does it. And, this Bible was the first Bible that was, that the county commissioners, county judge, everybody swore in on the very first 1875. So this is the original Bible, and our county clerk, Brooke, you can raise it. She can represent the county clerk's office. But anyway, it's got little notes in here and everything, but this was the first Bible. And Brooke had it redone this year, as much as you can do it for a new Bible. I'd like to also say something about working with the city and everything. It's been, how long has it been here?
3.5 years.
For 3.5 years, we worked very, very well with the city. The county, you've heard a lot of stuff. We have gone with the city on a lot. I forgot how much stuff there was till you started reading it off.
Glad to remind.
But we have done a lot, and I want to continue. When I saw Greg this morning, I said, Greg, is anybody gonna swear you in? I said, I'd like to swear you in. I want to continue with Greg and the rest of y'all, continue the work that we have. Mark, you was talking about the Facebook, I'm reading along all that stuff, and I got called a crook in there. I said, how'd I get involved in this? And I had to go back and look at the guy that called me a crook, and I did a protection order against him, so, I got involved in it. No, we continue, at the county, to continue to work with the city. This is, as bad as it looks sometimes, we're still family. And y'all read it. Greg came in here, somebody asked me the other day, said, who are you supporting the city? I said, well, first of all, I'm not voting. I said, but they're both my friends. I said, I like both of them. They said, well, you're just getting a politician. I said, well, let me say this. Charles Lyre, several years ago, made a comment, I went on the Industrial Foundation. He said, brother, he said, why can we these two guys, that guy and that guy left there, and a couple more that came in here, but they, on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, you can't hold that car. So, whether you're for them, against them, which way you voted out, I don't know, but, when I saw Greg, I knew that was opportunity to come up here and continue the support with, and you were very honorable to say what you said and everything, and I want to continue to do that, because we do work very well with the city. We really do. And we want to continue. You ready? Yes. All right. I got. What do you want to do? Right here? I'm going to get you to put your left hand on that. I'm 6'2", and I look good. All right, just repeat after me. I'll go slow. Repeat it too fast. I state your name. I, Greg Oakstag, do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute. I will faithfully execute the duties of office. The duties of office of mayor. Of mayor. Of the city of Mount Vernon. City of Mount Vernon. And will, to the best of my ability. Will, to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. Preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution. The Constitution. And laws of the United States. And laws of the United States. So help me God. So help me. Congratulations.
Now it is. All right. Even for 7 foot and 300 pounds, I can be a little sensitive. First, let me thank Brad for what he's done. He's done a really good job after listening to all that stuff, and that was really fantastic. And you know, with these guys up here, we're going to do our best to keep it going and make it even better with everything they've done. So I'd like to thank Brad for that. I'd also like to thank everybody who supported me doing this. I agree totally with Mark said. We need to get back to being a family again. That was a pretty brutal 2 weeks. Now, my career, I was a hero and a zero in a matter of 24 hours, so it didn't affect me at all. I mean, I kind of laughed at a lot of it, but it did affect my family. I know it affected Brad and his family, and it really got to a bad point. So it'd be great if we could all get back to being the families of Mount Vernon. That'd be fantastic. We've moved forward. We're starting a new era, and let's go from there. And that'd be fantastic if we can start starting tonight. So with that, let's move forward to item number 3. Now you got to remember, I'm learning this stuff. So if I mess up, just you can hit me. Or
No, you're good.
you know.
You're good.
Item number 3, request to be placed on the agenda by Courtney Bean regarding the Chapter 15 Code of Ordinance. So Courtney, if you'd like to come up.
Hi, good evening. My name is Courtney Bean, and I'm the owner of Proverbs Kitchen, Sourdough Micro Bakery, and Franklin County Small Business of the Year. I say that not to brag, but because I am one of many local small business owners, alongside farmers and food truck owners, who are directly impacted by these ordinances. I live here and I raise my family here, and care deeply about this community. First, I want to acknowledge that the city is finally taking steps to update ordinances to reflect current Texas state law regarding food trucks and cottage food businesses. The city publicly recognized that happened 8 months ago, and I appreciate the accountability alongside the action that is finally being taken to correct those ordinances and remove regulations and fees the state no longer supports. However, I believe we have an opportunity to go a step further and restore something that this community has missed for a very long time. I want to be very clear that I support regulation for true peddlers and door-to-door sales for public safety reasons. I'm not asking to remove those protections. What I am asking is that the city distinguish peddlers from the farmers, homemakers, bakers, and cottage food operators, and small businesses that fall under the Texas Farmers Market and Cottage Food Framework. Texas already provides structure and guidelines for these operations, and state-recognized farmers markets can operate for tourism, community growth, and even funding and agricultural support programs. Mount Vernon once had a thriving farmers market on the square that brought people downtown and supported the local families and businesses. People in this community have wanted that back for many years. I appreciate the recent decision to allow produce and honey vendors on Saturdays at no cost. I believe that this is a huge step in the right direction when it comes to supporting our local farmers, whom are the backbone of this community. But respectfully, why should we stop there? If a farmer grows produce and cans it under Texas cottage food law, why should they be excluded? If a baker legally operates under Texas cottage food law while sourcing ingredients locally, why should they be excluded as well? I also believe that the ordinance should clearly allow vendors and food trucks to operate on both private and public property with permission from the property owner or governing entity. I understand the safety concerns regarding traffic around the square, which is why I believe the north and east sides of the square provide a safe and reasonable solution while avoiding the heavy traffic on the south and west side. This is not about removing regulation. It's about creating reasonable opportunities for local families and rebuilding a piece of our community that people deeply miss. Bringing local farmers, bakers, homemakers, and vendors back to the square would support small businesses and increase downtown activity and strengthen community involvement for everyone. I respectfully ask the City Council tonight to reconsider expanding these ordinance changes beyond only produce and honey vendors and support broader inclusion for local farmers, cottage food businesses, homemakers, and small vendors operating within Texas law. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anybody like to discuss?
Try it again.
Courtney, I need help.
You're good. Now, so she's referencing, the existing code of ordinance.
understand that, yeah.
The problem is there are 3 bills passed down by state legislature recently, 1044, 541, and
2884, which is actually the food truck.
2 went into place, or into effect September 1, 1 doesn't go back in July. This affects not only chapter 15 of the code, but also chapter 10 of the code. So it's a little more complicated than what you see right here. We're talking about it with the city attorney, but
We'll try to have something to council by June for their consideration. We'll take into account what Courtney has said.
Okay.
if y'all have any suggestion on it or anything else, please let me know.
I'll wait to see what you bring.
But I'd like it to be noted that since January, we have not charged any fees or done any permitting or any inspections of food trucks whatsoever in the city. So,
All right. That being said, I'm still a little new to this. So what's my next step? I didn't, yeah, oh yeah, one more, yeah. I forgot, because it didn't say her name, so my apologies. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Thomas, and I am one of the owners of A Wicked Love for Food, which is a small family-run food business here in Mount Vernon, Texas. My husband and I have lived here for 5 years, and this is our 3rd year operating our business and raising our family of 5. I'm here tonight to speak to you about the impact of the city fees and the rising operating costs that have on small businesses like ours and others in this community. Greg, I've seen Facebook posts from you as well talking about you get with local food vendors and you partner with them, so you would understand what I'm talking about. Like many small businesses, we are already facing significantly higher food costs, supply costs, fuel costs, and equipment costs. Added in, the city fees and operating expenses may seem small on paper, but family-run businesses like ours, working within tight margins, They add up very quickly, and it has a real impact on sustainability. When those costs continue to rise, small businesses are left with only a few choices. We either raise our prices, we reduce what we can put on the menu, or, the worst, lower the quality of the food that we serve. Our business has chosen not to lower our standards. Our motto has always been a farm-to-table operation. We intentionally purchase from local farmers and businesses wherever possible because we believe local businesses should support one another and reinvest back into our community. We believe that when local businesses succeed, that the entire community succeeds. But the reality is that ever increasing in operating costs reduces our ability to continue doing that at a level that we would like to. Higher fees also affect growth. Many people in Mount Vernon still have never even heard of our business, even after 3 years. Like many small businesses, we are still trying to build visibility while balancing rising costs and the day-to-day responsibilities of supporting a family, but running a business. I'm not asking for special treatment tonight. I'm simply asking the council to consider the long-term impact that the costs have on small businesses in Mount Vernon. As a food truck owner, I will say to you, Mr. Manager, that I have noticed that you have not increased or taking fees, and you have not done the inspection that we are also mandated by the state to have first and foremost. Small businesses don't leave because they want to. They leave because they can no longer make the numbers work. A review of these fees is not just about businesses like mine. It's about whether Mount Vernon remains a place where small businesses can exist, grow, and contribute to the local economy. I thank you for your time and all of your attention.
Thank you.
There's no action on this tonight. Well, the next step would be just ask if there's any discussion items. And if there's not going to be.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we go to adjournment.
Okay.
And you just ask the motion to adjourn.
All right. So, you want to go home? You go home. Okay. So, if there's no more discussion tonight, we're going to go ahead and ask for the meeting to be adjourned.
Second.
Second. All right. Sure. Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So the meeting's adjourned at, what is it, 6:48? Sound right?
Correcto.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you in a month.